Let me tell you what I thought when I saw it. Don't get me wrong. I felt like it was very heavy on the transgender jokes. But I also think that was the intention of Dave. I think that was trolling those who are offended by comedy. I mean, we live in a world where a comedian is held to a higher standard than a U.S. politician. How do you manage your emotions as a man? Well, it's not easy. Damn sure not easy to do it, but it takes a lot of work and practice with emotional intelligence, because you have this tendency to, you want to react a certain way, but you know that if you react this way, that you're only defending your ego of something that is being said. But if you are secure with who you are, there's no need to defend it. However, there are people that are going to test the fuck out of you as a man. You know what I'm saying? Like, for instance, take me. Tall, kind of big, muscles, shit like that, right? You have people that want to see what you're made of. You know what I'm saying? And they don't even know what you've been through. No one knows your story. I mean, no one cares about your story until you win anyway, right? But you have people that just want to test the fuck out of you. And if you are so used to like responding to conflict a certain way, it might not be the most defensive. It's more passive, or, you know, it's like you shudder, or it's like, again, triggering so much where you just, I don't know, you almost like crawl up in a ball, like inside your body, like that wounded inner child that we speak of, you know, sometimes, you know what I mean? Like, if you do that, regardless of how old you are and you haven't gotten past that point, yeah, it's going to fuck with you. It does fuck with you. But as a man, you are taught to not show any fucking emotion. None whatsoever. And here's the mind fuck, right? When it comes for some in like relationships. So you have those relationships where you have women that are with men who don't show any form of emotion, and they just want them to show some emotion, to show that they care about something, right? And then you have that man who once showed emotion to somebody, a woman or anybody, and you know what happened for him? He was destroyed for it. So you're putting men in a position where even if they're scared as fuck, that they have to be this in order to not be invaded in on their territory. Somebody see that as a weakness, and then they want to attack. Okay? Like, and even some women, masculine women, I feel, which is my opinion, they have this tendency to not show their emotions either. You know what I mean? But innately, it's part of you. Your feminine traits are there. They're there. Just like we have our feminine traits too. But I believe that your engine is run a little bit solely more on emotion than it is, you know, on logic. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that women aren't intelligent by any means, but just the way you are built as a nurturer for children, childbearing, and all that stuff, you know what I'm saying? I feel that I feel like women are more feminine than they are masculine. You know what I mean? Like, that's just me with that, you know. Not only that, that's what I fucking prefer, to be honest. But, you know, it is what it is. Then you get to a point, man, where you just think about like ways that you can manage these emotions. For me, it took being broken down to my lowest. I'm talking about suicidal thoughts. I'm talking about anxiety, depression, not knowing who to trust, be it family, friends, whatever. Like my ego got me so fucked up in situations that I didn't know who to turn to. Like that was me. That's where I was. And I had to find myself as just me, God, his son, the universe. And we had to come up with how are we going to get you out of here? I had to break you down to build you up is what happened, Rome. So I got books, got a lot of books. I got a lot of mentors that helped me learn to manage my emotions, especially the ego. The ego is the motherfucker. The soul knows what it is. The ego just wants to defend itself. And there's no need to defend what you already know. Okay? And you don't even have to know. You just be. That's it. Like, nothing else matters. Nothing else matters more than the present moment. Real shit. That's just how I see it. So learning to manage said emotions is not the easiest, but it's a necessity. It's a skill of emotional intelligence that you have to have. You have to walk towards the fire. You have to, I get Jordan Peterson recently talked about the best way to face your fears is to unpack it one thing at a time and ask questions. Why is it that you fear? Is this justified? You know what I'm saying? Doing things one step at a time gives more courage to face your fears. That's easier said than done, but the only way you get through it is by doing it. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Truly, as that quote means so much more to me these days than ever before. And it's like learning to face fears. I am far from recovery, but I'm doing the fucking work, and I'm gonna keep fucking working. And but me as a man, how I manage my emotions is emotional intelligence, alpha mentors. You know what I mean? And that's just the name of the community, because no true alphas, they shouldn't be naming themselves alphas. You know what I mean? You have to allow that to be done by your peers. But I mean, just the mentality itself can teach a lot of things. I recommend men to have that, again, to study more. I mean, understand your feminine traits, which is where your emotional intelligence lies in, but also learn your masculine traits as well, because we have those, we just have to use them. But if we've been programmed so long to be so blue-pilled and nice guys and all that stuff, we're going to get trampled over. Just imagine if Sparta was filled with nice guys when they tried to save their fucking country. Just imagine if during the Civil War there were nice guys when the South showed up. You know what I mean? Well, hold on, guys. Just wait a second. You know, we'll talk this over like men. No, there's gonna come a point in your life where there's gonna be time for war. You're gonna have to bring it, and it's very scary. It is. It can be very scary, especially if you've never done it before. But it's something that can be done. It's something that we need to work upon for ourselves as men, and even some women could probably work better with emotional intelligence and understanding what that is. So, yeah, me as a man, how I manage my emotions, emotional intelligence, daily affirmations, positive self-talk, and just staying the course and giving myself grace for fucking up. What do you do when you feel guilty about life choices? Well, if you asked me this 2 years ago, I'd crawl into a ball in my room and just let the ego win and just be like, I'm a failure, I'm over, I fucked up. There's nothing more I can do. I wanted to be perfect, and when it wasn't perfect, I had to go. I felt, and the reason for this is because I felt like I had to be perfect in order to receive love. You know what I'm saying? Like, and that comes from like misinterpreting as a child how your parents' love styles. You know what I'm saying? If you grew up with parents that didn't know how to be emotionally available, it's going to be hard for them to try to give it to you. You understand? So I took things upon myself. The way my parents showed love for me, they gave me everything that they didn't have material wise. You know what I'm saying? Or like a roof over the head and those things. Everything like material stuff. But as far as, again, like emotions and all that stuff, it's foreign to them. It's scary. It's scary. It's scary to talk about emotions even for a lot of us. Me, I don't give a damn. You know what? Fuck it. Whatever. You want to call me soft, sensitive, and all that shit. I'm an artist, so of course I'm sensitive. But I bear this shit. I don't give a fuck. Like, what you see is what you get. And this is my platform. And like, this is probably the place where I'm my most comfortable in front of, like, for the world to see. Just to talk about how the fuck I feel. You don't have to agree with everything I feel, but these are my fucking feelings. You can critique all you want. You're gonna say whatever you want. Anyway, I can't control that. And that shit used to bother me. I used to try to control everybody's fucking thoughts because of my ego. I didn't want to be perceived as a bad person because I thought that would mean withholding love. You know, you see how that can drive a person crazy, trying to control everybody else's thoughts of you because of this fear of not being loved. That's how crazy love is, where it makes you feel like, you know, you have to do these things, and you really don't. So when life gets hard, and you don't know what to do, I just give myself, I learned to forgive myself for shit I don't know. I mean, if I knew how to do it, I'd do it. But that's like most people. If they knew how to do something, they do it. Or if they believe they can do it, they can do it. And that's another thing, negative self-talk. And when you grew up in an area where a lot of people say, you can't do this and you can't do that, that shit starts to stick. And you'd be surprised what you can do if you just do it. It only takes one time to try it. And if you fuck up, you get back up again. Don't worry about people talking, man. That's just people talking. Most people are critiquing you can't do it themselves. They don't have the heart to do it themselves. They watch it from the stands while you on the field. Everybody got something to say when Michael Vick throws an interception, but can they move like Michael Vick? No, you don't move like Michael Vick. You can say whatever you want to say about LeBron James on that basketball court. He sucks. That nigga's playing in the NBA while you are there eating popcorn, overly priced, hot dogs, missing relish and onions, all that shit. But you feel like who are you to critique him? But we do this anyway. You know what I'm saying? We just been like that. It's just like we're wired to point out the negatives in somebody instead of saying something positive. And we got to change it. We got to break cycles. We got to build each other up and encourage people. That's within our sector to do things that they feel they couldn't do. So life choices. If you're like me and you felt like, you didn't have a certain type of support, then you gotta find a way. Just have to find a way and just do what you can. And each time you try, it gets easier. Your brain is training itself to remember how to do this thing. And it's almost like playing a video game for the first time. Like the first time most people play like Call of Duty, they probably got their ass fucked up online. But each time, you respawn, you learn how to shoot this way, how to guard this way. So that's what I encourage others to do with any life choice that they have. And, when you feel guilty about certain things, looking back at stuff, like the past is meant to learn from, not to dwell on. And that took me a while to understand that, because I, like most people, like if you felt like you had to prove your love to be loved, then when you fuck up, that was it. I'm never going to be loved. That's the reason why I'm not getting this type of love from my parents, my family, all that stuff. When actuality, nothing that they did had anything to do with you. you're already loved. Just being who you are, just being, understanding that. And it takes a while to understand it, but once you stop looking for shit that you already have, it's about gratitude, being grateful for everything we have. And if you recognize all that you have, and don't worry about the shit you don't have, that's where happiness is created, in the happening. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be able to live in the present moment. That is where happiness is generated. Yeah. Holding on to things that we don't own. Sure, you might have lost a loved one. We're all going to have the same fate someday. And as sad as that may be. And, I've lost a few people over the years, friends in high school, family members, unexpectedly. But we don't own them. We don't. We're not entitled to that. And everything gets returned. It goes back. Like, that's why it's important for us to just live in the moment, because at some point it's going to be gone. You got to look at it like going on vacation. For instance, just getting back from Vegas. And Vegas was a good time. It's a real good time, right? But I didn't get to take Vegas home with me. I left. I checked out. I checked out of the hotel. The Mirage, the people, they're just nice. Appreciate that. But like, when you have something like such, you live in that moment, you go back. Like, everything gets returned. And a lot of us feel like we got things forever. Relationships, all of that shit, everything is temporary. So, like, if you're feeling bad, that's temporary. You're reliving it. You're choosing to suffer. You know what I'm saying? If you're feeling good, it's temporary. It's just enjoy it. Well, it should be more about just acceptance. And this is all the knowledge that I've obtained from, my man Eckhart Tolle in the book Power of Now. It's like learning to just live in that moment and appreciate things for what they are. And we decide if something is good or bad when it happens. It's just life. We learn to just accept life for what it is. So, how I deal with life's choices, I'm learning to face the music as much as I can. It's hard, but and learning that you can't force people to do anything. You can't. The only person you control is you. So when you're dealing with life choices, just do the best you can. Don't blame you. Don't be so hard on yourself. That's something I can learn from. I'm sure others can learn from too. And continue to move on your path and understand that you're continuously, as long as you're working on your purpose, the universe will do the rest. So that's my answer to that. How do you feel about comedy with the current climate in our society? All right. Forewarning. This is not to offend any community whatsoever. Gay, transgender, none of that shit. This is talking about comedy itself. Let me forewarn that. For anybody that may be related to me, anybody that may be friends that are gay and transgender, all that stuff, future fans, current fans, all of that stuff. This here, the subject is talking about comedy, all right? I feel that comedy is in trouble, and it's going to be taken away from us at some point in time if we keep going the way that we're going. And now I know a lot of people have had their feelings about Dave Chappelle's stand-up. Let me tell you what I thought when I saw it. Don't get me wrong. I felt like it was very heavy on the transgender jokes. But I also think that was the intention of Dave. I think that was trolling those who are offended by comedy. We live in a world where a comedian is held to a higher standard than a U.S. politician, president, things like that. You know what I mean? Like, what's happening? What's happening right now? You know what I mean? Like, let's not forget the Trump days. I'm not even gonna get all on Trump. Let's talk about Biden. We're gonna put y'all in chains. If you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Nigga, what? Whatever. Anyway, but you get what I'm saying. Like, we live in this type of world where comedy, like jokes are jokes. That's it. Sometimes a joke isn't funny. Um, when something offends you, like what been taught by Stoicism is like, if it's the truth, why be upset? And if it's not the truth, then it's nonsense. So why even bother? But a joke is a joke. Don't get me wrong. Cyberbullying is totally serious, and that's nothing to play with. I'm not a proponent for that. What I'm talking about is somebody that's paid to tell us jokes to make us laugh. We go there to laugh at ourselves, laugh at people, laugh at life. All of that shit is to make us feel good. You know, getting talked about sometimes, our egos, it doesn't feel good. I can tell you that right now. I hated that. I used to get clowned for my ears in middle school. I used to get clowned for, I had a ringworm in my head one time in the 7th grade, and my shit was all patched up, and they said I looked like the US globe. You got North America right here, you got Brazil right here, you got Europe, all of that shit, just jokes. And I traumatized for it, yes. But I'm also learning that was just my ego wanting to defend who the ego thinks he is, right? So, but getting back to the original thing, comedy, I want people to understand that jokes are simply that. They're just simply jokes. And the joke he said at the end was talking about, like, he was going to tell the daughter of the transgender woman that took her own life, was like, you know, your mother was a very good man, you know, and it kind of touched people a certain way. But like Dave said, if his mom was here, if her mom was here, then she would understand that joke was funny. Like, she would think that was a great joke. And that's where I think we need to get back to, because I don't think people are intentionally trying to butcher. But at the same time, we can't tell nobody how to feel. I can just give my opinion on things. That's really it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying there's no reason for the transgender community or families of them to be offended by something that somebody said. What I'm saying is that when it comes to comedy, there is, like, people are walking on eggshells. And Damon Wayans, like, applauded Dave for, like, freeing the slaves, if you will, when it comes to comedy, because there's a lot of stuff that you're not able to say. And, you know, they're going back looking at tweets from 2009, pulling people, you know, again, cancel culture. They're always trying to cancel somebody, right? But I just want us to get to a place where we can, like Dave wanted to do at the end, I'm not doing any more jokes until we can realize that we're laughing together. And I think that's very big on him. He's a genius. He's a comedic genius. The way he touches on topics and his way of delivering comedy to us and making us laugh at ourselves, pretty much. You know, when somebody talks about you, they see a piece of them in themselves. That's just mental health 101. For me to say, you know, you're ugly, that's based off of my perception of beauty. You feel me? Like, there are different ways to convey what you're trying to say without being offensive, but at the same time, you don't control what's offensive to somebody else. I literally can say, you know, I went to Vegas, and somebody can be upset because they couldn't go to Vegas. I didn't say it to piss you off. I went to Vegas. That's it. You know, or saying that, you know, you're over you're over somebody's house. That person that you told may be jealous that you're over this person's house. Family members, girlfriends and boyfriends, and you know what I'm saying, shit like that. You have no control over that. But the fact is, you're over there. You know what I mean? And that's just what it is. But the fate of, the current state of comedy is in an uproar. I want our comedians to be able to be comfortable to say certain jokes. You know what I'm saying? For us to be able to laugh at ourselves. Don't get me wrong, 90s comedy was raunchy, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't intentionally to hurt anybody, you know? Did it hurt people? Sure it did. 80s, you look at how the barriers that Richard Pryor had to break in the 70s for comedians today. then you look where Eddie Murphy took it, and Andrew Dice Clay and George Carlin, and just how raunchy they were to get comedy. Comedy was like almost like putting sex out. You know what I'm saying? Like sex used to be very, no one talked about it, or they didn't really show it on like the way that it is more so today. You know what I mean? If you saw a girl walking around back in the day or something like that, showing like ass or something like that, then it was like it was the worst, right? But now it's so common. Even our little girls that are like 12 and 13, they look so grown, and because it's accepted by society, we've gotten to that point. Now that's probably something that maybe needs a little bit of management, but comedy, I feel like comedy has to get to a point where we are comfortable talking about these topics, and being able to understand that we're not being malicious. As far as like our comedians, they're not there to be malicious. They're there to make jokes. That's it, and make people laugh. And that's what I feel about like with comedy. Now I want to be clear that anybody offended by the closer, you know what I mean? Like I said, I'm not making light of how you feel by any means. You are entitled to feel how you feel if you had issues with it. You know what I'm saying? But I just want you to look at it from a comedic standpoint and realize that funny is funny, and funny is different for different people. Like there's comedy that gears towards white people and the things that they go through in white culture. There's comedy that's geared towards black people, that's geared toward their culture. There's comedy that's just geared towards so many different people. Latin community, like George Lopez, like people that may watch George Lopez may not get everything because they're not part of that culture, but that's how you learn about the culture. I mean, comedians are like rappers. They're talking about what's going on. Some of them talk about the things that were going on in their community. So, I mean, comedians, that's one of the hardest jobs to do. I would like for you guys to stand 3 minutes in front of your families just to practice of telling a joke for 3 minutes, let alone an hour. You know what I mean? It takes a lot. And that cancel culture shit, we're getting it's too easy. But like I said, man, I'm a fan of Dave Chappelle. And I'm also a supporter of the LGBTQ community and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? But I just want us to get to a point where we understand comedy is comedy, and that we need to get back to laughing again, man. I think that's what's wrong with us right now. I think we take shit entirely too seriously. And here in the world, we got COVID and shit going on. That's something to take seriously. So why are we spending time being upset about other things? You know what I'm saying? We have something more. Well, who's to say what's more, right? But there are things that are taking lives, in a sense. So, like this deadly disease, the vaccine, and whether or not we should take it, whether we shouldn't take it, whether you should force me to take it, all that stuff. You know that's great comedy bits, right? There are some people that can come up with some good comedy bits off of that. But I'm sure some of them are treading softly because they don't want to be canceled. They don't want companies to not, want them. But I believe that comedy can make a return, but you gotta break barriers. You gotta be able to say fuck it. You gotta be able to ask for forgiveness versus permission when it comes to comedy. There are people that are gonna be upset, sure. That's great. There's always been people upset from the start. So continue. I say to all comedians that if you have friends that are comedians, family members that are comedians, definitely show them this clip and be like, yo, listen, I want you guys to help us get back to being in a happy spirit, man. Because comedy saved my life. Real shit, growing up. All I was dealing with, I didn't realize it was anxiety, but Eddie Murphy, his movies, Martin Lawrence, his shows, his movies, Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, so many other comedians, Robert Townsend, come on, man. Keenan Ivory Wayans, like without these guys, a lot of us wouldn't have the memories that we have with our families. You know what I'm saying? Adam Sandler and stuff that he's done, Chris Farley, David Spade, even though I don't find both of them funny, but they've helped out a lot of people. So what I'm saying is that comedy saves lives. and maybe it saves yours.